Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here. Today I'm going to talk about the Mossberg Nightstick or the Mossberg Shockwave or the Remington TAC 14, TAC 13, the Henry Axe, any of those types of firearms that are basically a short-barreled shotgun, but they're classified as a firearm in that they're just over 26 inches long, and they have a 14-ish inch barrel, and so they can't legally be classified as a shotgun. They're classified as a firearm. So a lot of people on the internet will tell you that a firearm like this is pointless, it's useless, there's no reason to have it, it's too hard to shoot, and it's just basically a middle finger to the ATF is basically the only reason why you should ever own a firearm like this. And some points, I will say, are legit, like this is a much more difficult gun to shoot than a full-size shotgun. But I do not believe that this is a completely useless or pointless firearm. I do think that there are some uses for this gun. So, for instance, here we have a full-sized 18-inch barrel shotgun. This is a Rock Island Armory T-Pass, which is basically a Ithaca 37 is basically what it is. So as you can see, it is much bigger than the Mossberg Nightstick. It has about 4 inches more barrel. It has a full-size stock. So obviously I want to say it's like a foot longer than the Mossberg Nightstick. So obviously this is a much easier firearm to shoot because it has a stock that you can put into your shoulder. It has a little bit longer barrel, so that you can so that it can be a little more accurate. It's still short enough to go around corners and through doorways and stuff for home defense, and it's a great home defense style shotgun. But it is not as compact as the Mossberg Nightstick. So the Mossberg Nightstick, or Shockwave, can fit many more places that a full-size shotgun cannot. It's a lot better and easier to conceal in a vehicle. In those like American flag wall hanger concealment things, you can't fit a shotgun this long. You just can't. It's not, the boxes are not big enough for a gun like this, but they are big enough for a gun like this, or even like an AR pistol, depending on how long the barrel is. I think those things can accommodate something like that. So they can accommodate long guns this size, but they can't accommodate a full-size shotgun or a full-size rifle. So if you have, or if you want to have one of those in your house, they're very cool. They make them in all different designs and stuff, but if you have one of those big wall hanger gun concealment boxes, you could put one of these in there and a couple of handguns, so it definitely better suited for that. And obviously you can just hide it in more places in your house. If the apocalypse ever happened, you could conceal this much easier on your body, although it's still not a super easy gun to conceal. But like if you had a trench coat or something, you could conceal this on your person as you're walking through the zombie hordes, or even just a different type of post-apocalyptic scenario. It's a lot easier to conceal this than a full-size shotgun, whereas, full-size shotgun, you're probably just going to have it slung over your shoulder, or you're just going to be carrying it the whole time. So the number one reason why I think a gun like this is better than a gun like this is concealment. And just just the fact that it's a much more compact firearm to begin with. Now, people will say that this is a much more difficult gun to shoot than this, and they are right. But there are options for being able to shoot this. One, obviously practice makes perfect, or practice makes you better. So obviously, if you're going to have a gun like this, you want to shoot it, you want to practice with it, and get good at it. A couple other things that you can do is, as you can see here, this particular one has a mini shell adapter in it, and there are a couple different types of mini shell adapters. This one can be easily removed in just a couple of seconds. So if you have mini shells, they are going to be a lot lighter recoiling than a full-size 2 3/4 or 3-inch double-aught buckshot. So you can get mini shells in, I think, number 1 buckshot, and even like number 1 and number 4 buckshot. You can get it in birdshot, which I don't really recommend that, but I mean, it'd still be a lethal round. It's just not as good as buckshot, or they make them in slugs as well. So you have those options to give you a little bit more lighter recoil to make it a little bit easier to shoot. You can also get a frame, a receiver mounted laser that you can just mount over the receiver, and you can have a laser to help you with sighting, so you don't necessarily always have to bring the gun up to your face and risk hitting yourself in the face when you shoot it. You can shoot it from the hip a lot more accurate with a laser, so that's another option as well, and would make this gun a much more easier to use option than as it is right now. I don't have one of those. I don't even know how much they cost. I didn't really buy it to be a self-defense firearm. I kind of just bought it because I wanted it, because I like the way they look. I think they're cool, and I think it would be just a fun gun to have on the range. So that's why I bought it. I suppose I could get good with it and make it a defensive firearm, but right now my defensive shotgun is a Mossberg Maverick 88. That's my shotgun of choice, and I obviously have a lot more full-size shotguns, so if I'm going to use one for home defense, I'm probably going to use one of those. But if I ever did get one of those gun concealment boxes, this would be the gun to put in it, along with maybe 2 or 3 other handguns, however many I can fit in there. So those are a few reasons why I think the Mossberg Nightstick is not a totally useless firearm. Let's talk about some more. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to firearms like the Mossberg Nightstick or Mossberg Shockwave is being a tertiary apocalyptic type rifle. So in other words, if something big happens, nuclear fallout, zombie apocalypse, whatever, and you're bugging out and you're leaving your home and you can only take so many firearms with you, 3 types of firearms that are good to have, if you're by yourself, I guess, is a defensive rifle, a defensive handgun, and a shotgun of some sort. Now, this is not an end-all be-all list of firearms to have, but I think we can all agree that a good rifle and a good handgun are 2 guns that you should definitely have. So, obviously, your handgun, this is a Glock 22. This is a gun that I carry a lot out of the farm. This would be a good option to have for your sidearm for an end-of-the-world scenario, and you would have it strapped to your hip, or maybe even strapped to a chest rig on a plate carrier or something. So obviously this would be a very easy gun to carry. We have your AR-15 here, which you probably have slung on over your shoulder, or you'll be carrying it the whole time, or whatever, and that would be a good option for a defensive rifle to have with you in an end-of-the-world scenario. But if you're bugging out and you're out on your own, on the road, in the woods, or wherever you're at, you're probably going to have yourself some sort of bug out bag. And this is a bag that I bought a while back, made by LA Police Gear. It does have some things in it. I kind of stopped putting it together, but one of these days I will get back to putting my bug out bag together. But as you can see here, this pack has Molly on it, and they do make Molly shotgun scabbards, or rifle scabbards, I guess, that you could mount a scabbard to the side of the bag and put this type of a firearm in there, and theoretically it would be a fairly easy gun to carry with you. Now, it's not your primary, it's not even your secondary. Your primary is obviously going to be your rifle, and you might carry a certain amount of magazines with that. You might carry a couple extra mags for your pistol. So, you're set for your primary, your secondary, but it's always good to have a third firearm that you could possibly use, and this would be a good option for that. You don't necessarily have to carry a whole bunch of ammo with you. 12 gauge is a very common type of ammunition to find, so obviously you'd want to have it loaded and full. You might have some like Velcro shot shell cards maybe on your chest rig or on your pack somewhere else, or even just have some other type of Molly system that holds a few extra shotgun shells, or maybe even have something on your belt. I mean, there's lots of different options out there, but it would just be a good option for a tertiary firearm for an end of the world scenario. And like I said, 12 gauge is a very common type of ammunition to come across, so you're probably not going to have any shortage of ammo when it comes to that, not like some other types of ammo that you might have for your guns. But 223, this is a 40 cal. I'd probably recommend a 9mm, but this was the pistol that I had readily available for the video. So yeah, primary rifle, secondary pistol, and tertiary firearm or shotgun, if you want to call it a shotgun, because for all intents and purposes it is a shotgun. And those are the things that I think a Mossberg Nightstick or Mossberg Shockwave are good for. Yeah, a full-size shotgun is definitely a better option, but in this case, a full-size shotgun is going to be a lot harder to carry than a gun like this, when you already are carrying a full-size rifle with you. So just an option. So anyway, that's all I really have to say about that.
Hey, before I go, I just thought I'd remind everybody that I do have a second channel called Redneck Off the Range. Over there, I post most of my non-gun related content, so whether it's a video on my new tractor, my power tools, my projects that I'm working on, maybe wild game recipes, or just a random vlog, I post all of this kind of content over on my secondary channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check it out, Redneck Off the Range. But that's all for this video, so subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.